Travels with Lucky here. Unfortunately, Lucky had other plans today, so I'm just the lone stranger here. Going on a little trip, and I thought you might enjoy this. I'm going to a town a lot of you are familiar with, Manhattan. Oh, no, not Manhattan, New York. That's not my style. I'm going to Manhattan, Montana. It's a little town outside of Bozeman, and actually it was the first community in the area, established, way back in 1863. I think you're going to enjoy this video. It's still a quaint small town, however, it's grown to over 2,000 people now. That was in the 2020 census. And like most Montana small towns, they've changed a lot over the last 20 years, but Manhattan still is a small, quaint town, but it's just right outside of Bozeman, Montana. This is, I'm stopping here in Logan, so you can see a little bit of what the drive is. We're going to be going west into Manhattan. Most people probably see it from the east coming out of Bozeman. Well, let's hit the road and see what we can find. There's a little idea about Logan. I do have some videos on Logan if you look in the past videos, but it's grown to be quite a railroad town right now, and there's a really good place to eat right there called Land of Magic. It's a steakhouse. If you're ever out in the area, you could check that out. I think they don't really open until like 4 o'clock. All right, so this is just leaving Logan. It's a pretty drive. The Gallatin River's off to my left. We won't really be seeing the river too much just because of the way the road goes. And if you're not familiar with this area, the Gallatin River forms the Missouri along with the Jefferson River and the Madison River, and that's just behind me a little ways. This is such a little pretty drive here into Manhattan. I thought some of you might enjoy seeing it. Since I'm driving, I can't move the camera around too much, so you'll just have to get what you get. The sign coming up here with the elk, now that's serious elk crossing. There can be a herd of like over, I don't know how many, thousands of elk. And they come down from the mountains and they hang out here, and they actually sometimes cross the interstate, and it can be pretty dangerous because a lot of people don't expect to see things like that, but there is a huge herd of elk that come through in the winter time. I suppose, anytime they could be showing up. Montana used to be a lot like this, just a 2-lane road. Not much around, but it's changed a lot, especially over here in this area, because as I'm sure you're well aware, Bozeman just kind of blew up. They call it Bosangeles for good reason. But I guess people coming from big cities still feel like it's just a cool, small western town. It's been 50 years since I first came out here, and Bozeman really was a small town back then, and now it's unrecognizable. I get lost there. I try to avoid it at all costs. And I think a lot of people who are from the area feel the same way. But what you gonna do? That's the way it is. So anyway, back to Manhattan. Manhattan started because it was a great place to grow barley. The land here in this area, and of course throughout Bozeman, is some of the best farmland in the entire state of Montana. And of course that's all changed with the housing developments. And it's really sad because the soil here is so rich. But anyway, Manhattan originally was called Hamilton. Well, maybe 20, 30 years later, they changed the name from Hamilton to Manhattan after where the people were from. And I suppose maybe that's where a lot of the barley was shipped out. I don't know that much history as far as that part goes. But I do know that this area was one of the first communities established in the area. And then, and because of the barley and the New York investment people. And then the railroad came in. And now we are approaching Manhattan. This water tower, which I think you should be able to see, I can't really see my screen too well right now, but the water tower here was recently put up after the surge in population, and they built a little ticky-tacky neighborhood like you see all over now. But that's really what brought a lot of the growth here to Manhattan. So they had to, of course, get another water tower, or they didn't even have, I don't even know what they had before this, but so we're getting quite close here. This is just the outskirts of the town, and you can see it's still farm-like, but then there's that subdivision over there. It just popped up like mushrooms, which they do so often anymore now, not just in Montana, but all over the country. All right, so we're heading in to Manhattan right now, and we're straight ahead. Another 30 miles or so is Bozeman, Montana, which is where a lot of people are familiar with, because that's where the airport's in Belgrade, but there's Bridger Ski Resort, and now there's the university, of course, is big there. And then now there's a lot of high-tech industry, and it's just grown to be quite a thriving city, really expensive. And Manhattan used to be affordable, but it's not anymore. No place really in Montana is. Everything is pretty much overpriced. Now I'm going to stop up here and just walk through the town a little bit. It's a small town, so I can pretty easily do that. This recently just changed hands, this bar right here. And then I'm going to pull in here and park. Behind me is the restaurant. For years and years, it was called the Oasis Restaurant, run by the same family. Now I see that it's changed hands. But yeah, they were there way back in the 70s, known for their great steaks. I'm just going to walk through the trees here. This is a nice little park. Gives you a little distant perspective. There's an old garage. And all these businesses are fairly new here. They redid a lot of the old buildings, which makes it for a nice, quaint little town. And used to be there, you never really see any cars parked here. And then there's the railroad tracks right here, which they're still in great use. Main spur. And I'm not sure where the mill was. It would be fun to find that location where they were processing the barley. Maybe they just trucked it out. I don't really know that. Maybe somebody who's watching this can fill us in on that. So now it's kind of a prestigious thing to be able to live in Manhattan because it is still a small town. And I gotta show you this grocery store over here. Big real estate company. They redid that whole building. It used to be like a hardware store, and you can see the it is in fact, I'm going to zoom in, you can see the tiling up there on top. It was probably like a Masonic temple, and that other building right next door might have been too. So it would be fun to talk about the history of all these old buildings, but I'm sure somebody else out there has done that. So now we call it, this town has been yuppified because it's got all these, like there's a fancy restaurant over there. There's the old bank building. And what I wanted to point out is that grocery store there was actually established. L&F Market, this is 1947, but it might have been older than that. It's one of the first grocery stores. There's a little bit of traffic here, so it might be a little bit noisy. So that grocery store is a pretty good store, really. They've, of course, modernized it and upgraded it. And right here is a nice memorial put out by the American Legion honoring all those in the armed forces. And they're probably the ones that got this whole park here started. But see, this looks way different from what I'm used to. We've got a brewery there, and that used to be a famous bar right over there called the Silver Dollar Bar, and it was cool because the bar actually had a lot of ridges. People would take their silver dollars, and I don't know why, but maybe just out of nervousness or whatever, and they would kind of gouge the bar, and then they had a bunch of silver dollars in the bar. Kind of wonder if oh, it's called Auto Inn. Oh, it's a pizza place now. The Dojo. Well, you can kind of get the idea. It is catering to the younger generation, the 30, 40, the young adults. But all of these stores are new. I mean, the buildings, of course, aren't. But yeah, it's too bad that Silver Dollar Saloon isn't there anymore. I didn't actually even realize it's not there. But it was pretty interesting in there. They had embedded silver dollars all along the bar. It's a big old-fashioned wooden bar. And then you can kind of see what it's like looking down some of the streets. But it has been fixed up really nice. So that's about that. Now on, I don't know which day it is, but they have a nice market during the fair weather. Let's see, they're doing some work over here. Maybe on the railroad. I don't know, but I'll drive around the town a little bit more so you can see what some of the older houses look like. Well, to give you an idea of where you are, you can get to I-90 right here. And of course, I-90 is the main interstate that goes through Montana. Okay, so this is the main street we just walked around. I'm going to go off to the left, the north side of the town on the other side of the railroad tracks. And we'll drive around there a little bit so you can kind of see more of the older part of the town. There are some fishing accesses you can get to and fish on the Galton River. So the average home price in Manhattan, Montana is $645,000, nearly $700,000 to buy a home in this town. This is one of the older established streets, and it's been a while since I've been out this way, so kind of fun for me to see too. So straight ahead must be a school. I can't go in that way. So yeah, this is the school area. And actually, on this road, you can go all the way to Belgrade. I'm just kind of curious to see what kind of developments are. Straight ahead, those mountains that you see are the Bridger Mountains. And for all you skiers, that's where Bridger Ski Resort is. All right, well, we're not going to go out of town here too much. We'll just go through one of the neighborhoods in there too, because there's some smaller homes. You know, back when the town was growing up, homes were much smaller. Head on down. Oh, there's the big old granary. I bet you that's, yeah, that's got to be where yeah, see that old granary there? Oh, yeah, that's it. Galton Valley Milling Company. Let's go take a closer look at that. And then we'll about wrap it up for this town here. There we have it. That's pretty cool. Okay, that wraps up our quick little tour of Manhattan, Montana. Now you know something probably a lot of people don't know. It was called Hamilton. And there's the old mill. Thanks for watching. This is Travels with Lucky. Hope you like this video, and I'm back in Montana. So from now through the summer, I'll do videos. I don't do a lot of them, but if you do want to subscribe and hit the notification bell, if I do a video, you'll be notified. But anyway, follow Travels with Lucky, and we appreciate any comments or additional information you have about this town. I'm sure some people know a lot more about it than I do.